You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the Dark Times. Before... Now the Jedi are all but extinct.
Order 66 is a definitive Star Wars moment. The in-universe significance is clear. One moment the galaxy was at war, guarded by Jedi that devoted their lives to keeping the peace. And then, they were gone. And everything changed. The removal of the Jedi is what allowed the Empire to dismantle the Republic, which led to...
It's a trap!
But what's especially interesting about Order 66 is how Lucasfilm has used it across its stories and transformed it into an iconic piece of Star Wars. No matter the context, Order 66 always hits with a heavy emotional punch. The Jedi were supposed to be mythic heroes. They were the good guys, and we watched them die over and over again. And Jedi die all the time. It happens in the movies, and it happens a lot in the Clone Wars. Most times it's tertiary characters dying because, you know, war. But Order 66 stories are always impactful in a way that this isn't. Part of the impact is the massive scale of it, how so many people are dying at the same time. It's also because we recognize it as the end of an era. But the most important reason why Order 66 is so important is because we didn't just watch our heroes die, we watched them be betrayed.
I'll do it.
Most of them didn't die like war heroes are supposed to in stories, valiantly fighting the enemy. They were caught off guard, confused, and running from people that they trusted, which is why it resonates. Order 66 was a galaxy-wide purge, with as many perspectives and stories as there were Jedi. Lucasfilm has used it to their advantage to make the universe feel bigger. They keep adding dimensions to it, making it more interesting, with different perspectives and circumstances. Starting with... Revenge of the Sith introduces Order 66 as a tragic, almost historic epic. The sequence presents the scale of a massacre that spanned thousands of worlds, giving the audience a master shot of what's going on. It engraves the idea that this was happening everywhere, and this wasn't something that the Jedi were going to survive. There's a finality to it, getting across the feeling that this was the end of an era. George Lucas focuses this feeling by highlighting two character perspectives, Yoda and Anakin. Yoda is the emotional anchor for the scene. We know him as a wise mentor figure. He's a comforting presence, an authority that seems like he's got everything under control, which is why it's such a powerful image to see him like this. We both instinctually empathize with him and understand the gravity of what's going on. Anakin is the symbolic manifestation of Order 66. If he was the chosen one, destined
to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force,
then his fall to the dark side signifies the death of hope. The prequel trilogy builds up to the climax of Anakin's fall to Darth Vader, which parallels the fall of the Jedi and the Republic. Episode 3 laid the foundation of Order 66, which was then expanded in...
trust only in the Force.
Fallen Order follows Cal Kestis, a former Padawan that survived the Jedi Purge. The specifics of his escape and past are kept murky, except for a few flashbacks. But pretty late into the game, you sit down to meditate like you have 100 times, and you're put into another flashback sequence. Except this time is different. Normally you'd be in a training room and do a short tutorial for a new skill before being put back in the present. But this time, you're actually in the Jedi Cruiser, walking around, talking to clones, which is cool. Except,
I have a bad feeling about this.
the sequence eases you into Cal's life on the ship. The clones aren't just mindless soldiers, they're his friends. Like a bunch of older brothers. But all of it is just set up for...
Asher, are you okay? No, no!
If you know anything about Star Wars, you, the player, know what's happening. You know what Order 66 is. But the game makes the smart decision to focus in on Cal's perspective. When the ball drops, he's not the Jedi that you've been playing as. He's just a kid who's scared and confused because his friends have betrayed him in the worst possible way. This sequence shows a kid in a war zone and really gets across the trauma that Cal carries. I feel that Fallen Order is a representation of what generally happens to most of the Jedi, the ones that aren't. But it still makes it interesting by being incredibly personal. The final arc of the Clone Wars is probably the best Order 66 story. Created by real-life Star Wars Jesus Dave Filoni, the Clone Wars span for 7 seasons over 10 years, and does the remarkable work of fleshing out important characters like...
Always glad to help, my friend.
But the series also introduces 2 new characters that would become fan favorites, Ahsoka and Rex. Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan, who was annoying, then cool, then left the Order because they're a crooked religion of condescending assholes, but she comes back for the final season. Rex is the leader of the 501st, Anakin's division of clones. The series spends a lot of time fleshing out the clones in general as real, individual, independent people, not just
The droid army is in full retreat.
It's only fitting that after 7 seasons becoming attached to these characters, the Clone Wars ends with how they navigated the end of the war. What makes this particular story stand out is our attachment to Ahsoka, Rex, and the entire 501st. Throughout its run, the show's built a strong relationship between these characters.
Beat you.
Some things never change.
And the episodes leading up to Order 66 make a point to lean on these relationships to slowly build tension for the climax. It reminds us of the bond these characters have, what they mean to each other. Also, it sets up the continuity by having scenes that overlap with the events of Episode 3.
Because Count Dooku is dead. Anakin killed him while rescuing the Chancellor.
It's just cool to think that these 2 are happening at the same time, which we know because they use the same music for both scenes. But it all leads up to...
Find him. Find him. Vibes.
Find him!
and it breaks your heart when it does. We know that Ahsoka and Rex survive, but this is still suspenseful, because it's not about whether they make it out alive. It's about the 501st being pitted against her. It's about Rex, and Jesse, and it's about this.
You're a good soldier, Rex. So is every one of those men down there.
And it's genuinely hard to watch this family being torn apart. They got the story beats down perfectly, but they also went the extra mile and made it an incredibly beautiful action sequence. It's just so cinematic, and it's probably the best thing Disney's done with Star Wars. This depiction of Order 66 is the most emotional, most specifically designed to be a powerful piece of Star Wars. After the Clone Wars, the latest iteration of Order 66 was in, which is a sequel series, again made by...
Ooh, there you will learn from Yoda.
True to its nature as a sequel, the series starts off with the Clone Wars ending in Order 66, but this time with a unique perspective. The focus isn't on the Jedi, but on the clones. These clones, the Bad Batch, who are in the unique position of not having functioning inhibitor chips. So while all the other clones are instantly stripped of their identities and all the Jedi are busy trying not to die, these guys are left wondering,
What's Order 66?
This version gives a little distance to Order 66, but keeps it relevant and interesting by having the Jedi being hunted be
Kanan Jarrus, a knight of the Jedi Order.
If you've watched Rebels, you've already spent 4 seasons with him, so you're immediately invested. Plus, it was just cool to see him beyond. This version is emblematic of what the rest of the show does. Give us a new angle on how the Empire rose out of the Republic in those first days after the war. With every new angle of Order 66, we're reminded of its significance, and it becomes more interesting. But the thing that makes all these different stories feel like threads in a single monumental event, the most important element that makes Order 66 an iconic Star Wars moment, is the music. In the original Order 66 sequence, John Williams condensed the essence of this tragedy into a beautiful piece of music. Every time it starts, your heart just sinks, because it so encapsulates the feeling that Order 66 is a tragedy. And the great thing about the music is that it's both incredibly distinct, but still so versatile that it's been blended in all of the Order 66 sequences since Episode 3. John Williams wrote something that can be used and recognized everywhere. It evokes emotions instantly, and has become an iconic symbol of Star Wars. No matter where it comes up, it serves as a reminder that whatever is on screen isn't just a single story, that this is also happening. While Yoda is on Kashyyyk, Cal is running for his life. Ahsoka is struggling to save Rex, and...
Master!
In just a few notes, you instantly know what's happening, and all the accumulative, emotional baggage of Order 66 is evoked.
You must run!
Star Wars uses Order 66 to tell different stories that take place in the same time frame, but are set across an entire galaxy. It works to bridge the prequels and the original trilogy, but it's become so much more than that. It's become one of the most emotional moments of Star Wars, with every new installment building on what's come before it to create the legacy of this iconic Star Wars moment.